I'm Captain Avery Holt, 29 years old, and I built my career from nothing but discipline, late nights, and a uniform I earned stitch by stitch. For years, I bent over backwards for my family, showing up, covering for them, carrying more than they ever acknowledged. But when my husband was killed in combat and they chose my sister's birthday party over his funeral, something in me finally snapped. Have you ever been dismissed, overlooked, or betrayed by the people you trusted most? If you have, share your story in the comments. You're in good company here. Before I dive into what happened, drop where you're watching from. And if you've ever had to draw a hard line after being wronged, hit like and subscribe for more real stories about boundaries, self-respect, and reclaiming the life you deserve. What followed even I didn't expect. I learned early that the uniform made people uncomfortable. Not strangers, they'd nod, say thank you for your service, move on. But family treated it like a hobby I'd taken too seriously. My mother would sigh when I mentioned a TDY, temporary duty assignment, like I'd chosen to miss Thanksgiving on purpose. My father would ask when I planned to settle down, as if being a captain in the U.S. Air Force was something you did until real life started. My sister Tessa never pretended. She thought I was dramatic. When I got promoted to O3, she texted congratulations with a gif of someone saluting a cat. When I tried to explain why I couldn't make her engagement party, I was at Red Flag, a major combat training exercise, she told our mother I was being selfish. The pattern was old, worn smooth by repetition. I was the reliable one growing up. Straight as full ride to the academy, commissioning on time. Tessa was the one who needed attention. Every failed class, every bad breakup, every impulsive decision became a family crisis. My achievements got a nod. Hers got intervention, money, rearranged schedules. I stopped competing for space years ago. Stopped expecting them to understand why I couldn't just take leave whenever they wanted. The Air Force doesn't work that way. You don't tell your squadron commander you need a week off because your sister wants you at her bachelorette party in Cabo. When I married Elias, I thought maybe things would shift. He was Army, a captain like me, infantry officer. Solid, quiet, the kind of man who didn't need to announce his competence. He understood the lifestyle without explanation. Understood why I couldn't always answer the phone, why some conversations had to wait, why OPSEC, operational security, wasn't paranoia, it was survival. My family thought he was paranoid anyway. During one call home, Elias reminded me not to mention where he was deploying. My mother overheard and later told Tessa he was being ridiculous. It's not like we're going to post it on Facebook, she said. But she would have. Not maliciously. Just carelessly. The way people do when they don't think consequences apply to them. They tolerated him. That's the word I'd use now, looking back. They liked him when he fixed their fence, when he helped my father install a ceiling fan, when he offered advice about refinancing their mortgage. They liked what he could do for them. They didn't respect what he did. The uniform was set dressing. The deployments were inconveniences. Our wedding was small on base because that's where our lives were. My family arrived late, annoyed about the drive, about the heat, about the formality. My mother complained that she didn't know anyone there. I didn't say what I was thinking, that I barely knew anyone at Tessa's engagement party either, but I'd showed up on time. Elias never said anything. He didn't need to. He saw it, the way I'd adjust my expectations downward every time I called home. He'd listen to me make excuses for them, then pull me into a hug and say, "You don't owe them an explanation." But I kept giving one anyway. When they scheduled Tessa's 30th birthday party, they didn't check my availability. Just sent the invitation to the wrong email, the one I'd stopped using 2 years earlier. I found out through a group text 3 weeks before the date. When I mentioned I might not be able to make it, potential tasking, still waiting on confirmation, my mother's response came fast. "You're always busy. This is important." I didn't argue. I tried to make it work. Checked with my scheduler, looked at leave windows, ran the numbers. I could swing it if nothing changed. But things always changed. A week before the party, my deployment got moved up. 12 hours notice. I called home to explain. "I'm really sorry." I tried. My mother's voice went flat. "Tessa's going to be so disappointed." Not, "Are you okay?" Not, "Be safe." Just disappointment. Like I'd bailed on a book club. I deployed, sent updates when I could. Short emails, no details, just enough to confirm I was alive. My mother responded once, 3 lines. Hope you're well. Tessa's party was beautiful. Wish you could have seen it. No questions about where I was. No acknowledgement that I hadn't chosen this. When I returned, there were photos online. Tessa's birthday had been elaborate. Catered, themed, expensive. A 3-tier cake. A rented venue. My mother had commented on every post, family first. I stared at that phrase longer than I should have. Family first. I'd been half a world away, making sure my crew was ready, making sure we came home. And she'd been arranging centerpieces. Elias found me sitting at the kitchen table, scrolling through the photos. He didn't ask if I was okay. He just sat down across from me, waited until I looked up. They don't see you, he said. I closed the laptop. I know. I mean, they don't see you at all, Avery. Not who you are. Not what you do. They see a version of you they wish existed. The one who shows up on time and doesn't have a job that matters more than their plans. I wanted to argue. But he wasn't wrong. I keep thinking if I just explain it better, you've explained it plenty. His voice was gentle, not harsh. Just factual. They're not confused. They just don't care. I didn't cry. I'd stopped crying about them a long time ago. But something settled in me, heavy and cold. The kind of weight you carry because you don't know where else to put it down. Elias reached across the table, covered my hand with his. You've got people who see you. Your squadron. Your crew. Me. That's your family. He was right. My wingman, Lena Brooks, knew my birthday without needing a reminder. My commander had sent a care package during my last deployment. When I'd made captain, my unit had thrown a quiet celebration. No fuss, just respect. My actual family had sent a card. Tessa signed it with a smiley face. I didn't cut them off. Didn't make a dramatic exit. Just started letting the distance do what it was already doing. Stopped volunteering information. Stopped trying to make them understand. When they called, I answered. When they didn't, I didn't follow up. Elias deployed again that fall. We said goodbye at 0:30 in the kitchen, the way we always did. No tears. No long speeches. Just a kiss, a promise to write, and the sound of his boots on the stairs. He called when he could. I wrote when I couldn't. We built our life around absence and reunion, around understanding that love wasn't about being in the same place. It was about choosing each other when everything else pulled you apart. My family never asked how he was doing. Not once. I stopped expecting them to. The call came at 1400 hours on a Wednesday. I was in my office, reviewing training schedules when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Military area code. I answered out of habit. Captain Holt. The voice on the other end was calm, professional, practiced. Ma'am, this is Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Kerr, Casualty Assistance Office. I need to verify I'm speaking with Captain Avery Holt, spouse of Captain Elias Ward. My hand stopped moving. The pen I'd been holding hovered above the paper. Yes, that's me. Ma'am, I need to inform you that Captain Ward was killed in action during a security operation. The incident occurred at approximately 03:30 local time. I'm very sorry for your loss. I didn't drop the phone. Didn't gasp. Didn't ask him to repeat it. I just sat there, the words landing like stones in water, sinking without sound. Ma'am? Are you there? Yes. My voice came out steady. Mechanical. I'm here. I'm going to walk you through next steps. Do you have someone with you right now? No. But I'm fine. Go ahead. He walked me through it. Notifications. Paperwork. Funeral arrangements. Casualty assistance. Benefits. I wrote everything down in neat columns, my handwriting even and clear. When he finished, he gave me his direct line and told me to call anytime. I thanked him. Ended the call. Set the phone down on my desk. Then I sat there, staring at the wall, trying to remember how to breathe. I called my commander first. Told him what happened. He told me to go home, take time, let the unit handle everything. I said I would. Then I called Lena. She didn't say anything, just, I'm coming over. Then I called my mother. She answered on the 3rd ring, her voice bright. Avery, I was just thinking about you. Tessa and I are planning a girls' weekend next month, and we thought Mom. I cut her off, my voice flat. Elias is dead. Silence. Then, what? He was killed. Overseas. This morning. Another pause, longer this time. I could hear her breathing, could almost see her trying to recalibrate. Oh, honey. I'm so sorry. Her tone shifted, but only slightly. Sympathy with an edge of inconvenience. When's the funeral? Probably this weekend. I'll know more tomorrow. Another pause. Then a sigh. Long, weary, like I'd just told her I needed a ride to the airport. Avery, your sister's birthday party is on Saturday. I said nothing. We've had this planned for months. The venue's booked. Everyone's coming. We can't just cancel. I still said nothing. My hand tightened around the phone. I mean, obviously this is terrible. I'm not saying it isn't. But you understand, right? We can't just call everyone and cancel. Tessa would be devastated. I closed my eyes. Opened them. The room looked exactly the same. Mom. My husband died. I know, honey. And we'll be there for you. But the party's already paid for. Can't you just do the funeral another day? I ended the call. Didn't hang up dramatically. Just pressed the button and set the phone down. Lena showed up 20 minutes later. Let herself in, found me sitting on the couch, staring at nothing. She didn't ask questions. Just sat down next to me, handed me a glass of water, and stayed. The next 48 hours blurred together. Phone calls. Paperwork. Notifications. Elias's commander, Major Cole Ramirez, called personally. Told me Elias had died doing what he believed in, protecting his team. Told me they'd all be at the funeral. Told me if I needed anything, I just had to ask. I thanked him. Meant it. My family didn't call back. The funeral was on Saturday. 1400 hours at the base chapel. Small, military, dignified. Elias's unit showed up in full dress uniform. His commander spoke. His teammates carried the casket. The honor guard folded the flag with precision that made my chest ache. Lena sat beside me. My commander sat behind me. The chapel was full of people who understood what Elias had given. My family wasn't there. I didn't cry during the service. Didn't break. I sat straight-backed, hands folded, and watched them lay my husband to rest with the honor he deserved. Afterward, people shook my hand. Told me stories. Offered condolences. Elias's team surrounded me, a quiet wall of solidarity. One of them, a young sergeant, handed me a letter. He wrote this before the deployment, ma'am. Asked me to give it to you if something happened. I took it. Thanked him. Didn't open it there. When everyone left, I stood alone at the grave. The sky was clear. The air was still. Somewhere in the distance, I could hear a bugle playing taps. I stayed until the sun started to set. Then I drove home. 2 days later, I saw the photos online. Tessa's birthday party. Balloons. Laughter. A 3-tier cake shaped like a champagne bottle. My mother had posted an album. Best day ever. Family first. I stared at the screen. Felt nothing. No anger. No grief. Just a cold, clear certainty. They'd made their choice. Now I'd make mine. I grew up believing that loyalty was reciprocal. That if you showed up for people, they'd show up for you. That family meant something more than shared DNA and holiday dinners. I was wrong. My parents weren't cruel. Not in the obvious ways. They didn't scream or hit or abandon me on a roadside. They were just absent. Emotionally, practically, consistently. I was the daughter who didn't need anything, so they gave me nothing. Tessa was different. Tessa needed. And they responded to need the way plants respond to light, instinctively, without thought. Every crisis she manufactured became their crisis. Every whim became their project. When I got into the Air Force Academy, my mother said, "That's wonderful, honey," and went back to helping Tessa pick out dorm furniture for a college she'd quit 3 months later. When I commissioned, my father shook my hand and asked if I'd thought about grad school. Something practical. Something that didn't involve moving every few years. When I made captain ahead of schedule, Tessa said, "Must be nice having a job that promotes you just for showing up." I didn't correct her. Didn't explain the evals, the leadership schools, the additional duties, the deployments. She wouldn't have cared. Elias understood without explanation. He'd grown up in a similar house, not broken, just unbalanced. His younger brother got the attention. Elias got the responsibility. By the time we met, we'd both learned the same lesson. Some people take. Some people give. And the ones who give usually do it alone. We met at a joint service exercise. I was coordinating air support. He was running infantry movements on the ground. We worked opposite shifts, kept crossing paths at the TOC Tactical Operations Center during shift changes. He noticed me first. Not in a dramatic way. Just started timing his reports so we'd overlap. Started asking questions he probably already knew the answers to. Started smiling when I walked in. I noticed him noticing. And I didn't mind. Our first real conversation happened at 0200 hours in the middle of a simulated crisis. Radios crackling. Maps spread across tables. Someone had screwed up the timeline, and we were trying to unfuck it before the evaluators noticed. Elias looked at me across the table and said, "If we move the strike window up 15 minutes, does that break your sequencing?" I ran the numbers in my head. No, but you'd need to reposition your units faster. We can do faster. Then let's do it. We fixed the problem. Nobody knew it had almost fallen apart. Afterward, he bought me coffee from the all-night DFAC dining facility, and we sat outside in the dark, too tired to talk, too wired to sleep. He asked about my family once. Early on, before he knew better. They supportive? About the Air Force. I shrugged. They tolerate it. He nodded. Didn't push. Just said, yeah. Same. That was enough. We got married 2 years later. Small ceremony, base chapel, no drama. My family came. Tessa wore white, which wasn't subtle. My mother spent the reception talking about how Tessa would probably be next, how she'd always dreamed of planning a big wedding. Elias squeezed my hand under the table. Didn't say anything. Didn't need to. Our marriage worked because we built it around reality, not fantasy. We knew what we'd signed up for. Deployments. TDYs. Long stretches of silence. We didn't pretend it was easy. We just did it anyway. When he deployed, I kept working. Kept flying. Kept leading. When I deployed, he did the same. We wrote letters. Sent emails. Called when we could. We made it work because we both wanted to. My family never asked how we managed it. Never asked if it was hard. Never acknowledged that being married to someone who might not come home required a different kind of strength. They didn't see us. They saw inconvenience. When Elias came home from his first deployment, I took leave to meet him. My mother called the night before, asking if I could stop by on my way. Tessa needed help moving furniture. I'm picking up my husband from the airport, Mom. Oh, right. Well, maybe after. I said I'd see. I didn't stop by. Elias and I spent that weekend alone. Quiet. Reconnecting. We didn't need fanfare. We just needed each other. That's what my family never understood. That some relationships don't need an audience. That love isn't performed. It's lived. Quietly. Consistently. Without applause. Elias saw me. Not the version my family wanted. The real one. The one who woke up at 0430 to run before work. The one who triple-checked flight plans because details mattered. The one who carried responsibility like a second skin because someone had to. He saw me. And he stayed. I saw him too. Saw the way he mentored his soldiers. Saw the way he stayed calm under pressure. Saw the way he carried weight without complaint because that's what leaders do. We built something solid. Something that didn't need external validation. We had our people, our units, our friends, the ones who understood the life. That was enough. My family existed on the periphery. I called on birthdays. Sent cards. Showed up when I could. But I stopped expecting them to show up for me. Elias never judged me for it. Never pushed me to cut them off or force reconciliation. He just accepted it. Accepted me. All of it. You can't make people care, he said once. You can only decide how much energy you're willing to spend trying. I spent less over time. Let the calls go to voicemail more often. Responded to texts days later instead of immediately. Stopped volunteering information about my life because they never asked follow-up questions anyway. They didn't notice. Or if they did, they didn't mention it. Tessa got engaged. My mother called, ecstatic. You have to be a bridesmaid. I said I'd check my schedule. Avery, this is your sister. I know. I'll check my schedule. I wasn't trying to be difficult. I genuinely didn't know if I could commit. But she heard defiance. Heard me choosing work over family again. Elias just shook his head when I told him. They want you available. Not present. There's a difference. He was right. They wanted me on standby. ready to drop everything when they needed something. But when I needed them, silence. The pattern was clear. I just hadn't wanted to see it, until I couldn't avoid it anymore. I didn't fall apart after the funeral. People expected me to. I could see it in their faces, the careful concern, the gentle voices, the way they watched me like I might shatter. I didn't shatter. I functioned. I returned to base housing, unpacked my dress blues, answered emails, filed paperwork. The casualty assistance officer, Lieutenant Colonel Kerr, walked me through survivor benefits, insurance, logistics. I took notes, signed forms, asked practical questions. He seemed relieved I wasn't hysterical. "You're handling this remarkably well, ma'am." I didn't tell him I'd been trained for this. Not formally. But every deployment, every dangerous mission, every late-night call carried the unspoken possibility that it might be the last one. You learn to function through fear, through grief, through whatever came. The Air Force offered counseling. I went. Not because I was falling apart, but because it was expected. The counselor was kind, professional. Asked how I was sleeping. Fine. Any nightmares? No. Are you eating regularly? Yes. She looked at me for a long moment. You don't have to be strong all the time, Captain. I'm not being strong. I'm being functional. There's a difference. She didn't push. Just gave me her card and told me to call if I needed anything. I didn't need anything. Or maybe I needed everything. I couldn't tell the difference anymore. Lena checked on me daily. Showed up with food. Sat with me in silence. Didn't ask how I was doing, just existed in the same space, solid and steady. "You don't have to do this alone," she said once. I know. Do you? I looked at her. I've been doing it alone for a while now. She didn't argue. Just stayed. My unit gave me space. My commander told me to take all the time I needed. My squadron sent a care package, coffee, snacks, a card signed by everyone. Small gestures. Meaningful ones. My family sent a text. One text. From my mother. "Hope you're doing okay. Don't forget your sister's gift card." I stared at it for 5 minutes. Read it 3 times, trying to find something I'd missed. Some hidden acknowledgement. Some trace of care. There wasn't any. Tessa's birthday gift card. That's what she'd thought to mention. Not, "How are you holding up?" Not, "What can we do?" Just a reminder that I owed Tessa something. I didn't respond. Days blurred together. I went through the motions. Woke up. Showered. Put on the uniform. Went to work. Came home. Repeat. I wasn't numb. I felt everything. I just didn't have the luxury of stopping. The Air Force doesn't pause for grief. Missions continue. Flights launch. People depend on you. So I kept moving. At night, I sat in our house, my house now, and read Elias's letters. He'd written me dozens over the years. Deployments, TDYs, training exercises. I'd kept them all in a box in the closet. Now I read them slowly, one per night, rationing them like they might run out. His handwriting was terrible. His spelling worse. But his words were clear. "You're the reason I'm careful," he wrote once. "Not because I'm afraid. Because I have something worth coming home to." Another letter. "Your family doesn't deserve you. But I do. I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving it." He had proved it. Every day. Every choice. And now he was gone. I folded the letters carefully, put them back in the box. Sat in the silence. The house felt different without him. Not empty, it was full of his things, his presence, his memory. But different. Like a sentence, missing its punctuation. The words were still there. They just didn't flow the same way. I didn't call my family. Didn't reach out. Didn't give them another chance to disappoint me. They didn't call either. 3 weeks after the funeral, Lieutenant Colonel Kerr contacted me again. "Ma'am, we need to schedule the reading of Captain Ward's will. It's standard procedure. Can you come in next week?" "Yes, sir." "Is there anyone you'd like present?" "Family, legal counsel." I thought about it. "No, just me." He paused. "You're sure?" "I'm sure." The appointment was set for Thursday, 1000 hours. I didn't mention it to anyone. Not Lena. Not my commander. Certainly not my family. Some things you do alone. Not because you want to. Because you have to. The days leading up to it were ordinary. Work. Paperwork. Routine. I forced myself to eat. Forced myself to sleep. Forced myself to keep going because the alternative was unacceptable. I thought about Elias constantly. Not in a sad, nostalgic way. Just thought about him. Remembered conversations. Moments. The way he'd leave his boots by the door. The way he'd hum off-key in the shower. The way he'd look at me across a room and smile like we shared a secret. We had shared a secret. We'd built a life together in the margins of everyone else's expectations. Quietly. Deliberately. Without permission. And now I was living in the echo of it. Thursday came. I put on my service dress. Drove to the legal office. Sat in the waiting room, hands folded, breathing steady. Lieutenant Colonel Kerr appeared in the doorway. Captain Holt. Thank you for coming. I followed him into a small conference room. A lawyer sat at the table, Air Force JAG, older, professional. She stood when I entered. Captain Holt. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Marsh. I'll be walking you through your husband's will today. I nodded. Sat down. She opened a folder. Slid documents across the table. Your husband was very thorough. He updated this will 6 months ago, before his last deployment. I didn't know that. He hadn't mentioned it. She continued. The bulk of his estate, including life insurance, investments, combat pay, and inheritance from his family, is left to you. I nodded again. Expected. She paused. Looked at me carefully. Captain, are you aware of the size of the estate? I know he had insurance. Maybe some savings. She slid another paper across. A number. Large. Larger than I'd imagined. I blinked. That's approximately $50 million. The room tilted. I gripped the edge of the table. 50 million. Yes, ma'am. Your husband came from a wealthy family. He also made significant investments over the years. He was very financially astute. I sat back. Tried to process. Elias had never lived like someone with money. We'd lived on base. Driven normal cars. Budgeted like everyone else. He'd never said anything. Lieutenant Colonel Marsh continued. There's one additional clause I need to inform you about. I looked up. She read from the document. Quote, if her family ever tries to claim what they refuse to support, give them the amount listed in Appendix C, end quote. Silence. Appendix C? She flipped to another page. Showed me. The amount was small. Shockingly small compared to the rest. Just enough to be deliberate. Just enough to make a point. I stared at the number. Felt something shift in my chest. Not grief. Not anger. Understanding. Elias had seen it. He'd seen everything. And he'd made sure I wouldn't have to fight alone. For 3 weeks, I told no one about the will. Not Lena. Not my commander. No one. I went to work. Flew missions. Led my team. Came home to an empty house and sat in the silence, thinking. $50 million. The number felt abstract. Unreal. Like something from someone else's life. But it was mine now. Elias's final gift. His final protection. I thought about what he'd written. If her family ever tries to claim what they refuse to support. He'd known. He'd seen the pattern long before I'd fully accepted it. He'd watched them dismiss me, ignore me, prioritize Tessa over everything. And he'd prepared for this. Not out of spite. Out of love. I didn't cry when I thought about it. I just felt seen. Even in death, Elias understood me better than anyone alive. My family didn't contact me during those 3 weeks. Not once. No calls. No texts. No check-ins. I didn't contact them either. Then, on a Tuesday afternoon, my phone rang. My mother. I almost didn't answer. But curiosity won. Hello. Avery. Hi, honey. How are you? Her voice was bright. Performatively cheerful. Like nothing had happened. I'm fine. Good, good. Listen, we were thinking it's been too long since we all got together. Maybe we could do dinner this weekend? The whole family. Catch up. I said nothing. Tessa really wants to see you. And your father and I, we feel like we haven't been as present as we should be. Still, I said nothing. So what do you think? Saturday? We could go to that Italian place you like. I didn't like Italian food. Tessa did. Why no? I asked. What do you mean? Why are you calling now? A pause. Well, we just thought, it's been a while. Family should stick together, especially after everything you've been through. Everything I've been through. Not everything we've been through. Not we're sorry. Just a vague acknowledgement followed by an invitation that benefited them. Who told you? I asked. Told me what? About the will. Silence. Long telling. Then, carefully, we just heard, through the grapevine, that Elias had some assets. And we thought, family should talk about these things. There it was. The truth, dressed up in concern. I see. So, dinner. I'll think about it. I hung up before she could respond. Over the next week, the calls increased. My father. My mother again. Tessa, suddenly sisterly, asking how I was, saying she missed me. They didn't say it outright. They didn't need to. The subtext was clear. We know you have money. We want in. I didn't answer most of the calls. When I did, I kept my responses neutral. I'm busy. I'll check my schedule. Maybe next month. They pushed harder. My mother showed up at my house unannounced. I didn't let her in. Avery, why are you being so cold? I'm not being cold. I'm being unavailable. This isn't like you. Maybe you don't know what I'm like. She blinked. Looked hurt. I didn't apologize. We're your family, she said. You didn't come to my husband's funeral. We explained that. Tessa's party, I know. The party was more important. That's not fair. I looked at her. Really looked at her. Saw the woman who'd raised me, fed me, housed me. Who'd also ignored me, dismissed me, chosen Tessa over me 1,000 times. You're right, I said. It's not fair. But it's true. I closed the door. 2 days later, I called Lieutenant Colonel Marsh. I need advice. Of course, Captain. What's going on? My family is contacting me about the inheritance. They want to share. Have you told them the contents of the will? No. Do you want to? I thought about it. Yes. But I want to do it right. We talked strategy. Legal boundaries. What I could and couldn't say. She offered to be present if I wanted. I declined. I decided on a neutral location. Public. Controlled. A coffee shop off base, the kind of place where people don't make scenes. I sent a group text. Let's meet. Saturday, 10:00 hours, common grounds. We'll talk. They agreed immediately. Too quickly. Too eagerly. Saturday came. I arrived early. Ordered coffee. Sat at a corner table, back to the wall, facing the door. They arrived together. My mother, my father, Tessa. All smiles. All casual, like this was a normal family reunion. My mother hugged me. I didn't pull away. Didn't hug back. They sat down. Ordered drinks. Made small talk. Asked about work. I waited. Finally, my father cleared his throat. So, Avery, we wanted to talk about the situation. What situation? Well, Elias's estate. I sipped my coffee. Said nothing. Tessa leaned forward. We just think, family should help family. And, obviously, you don't need all that money. So maybe it makes sense to share it. Help us out. Help you out with what? She blinked. Well, I'm looking at houses. Mom and Dad want to retire. You could make a real difference. I set my cup down. Did any of you come to Elias's funeral? Silence. No, I answered for them. You didn't. Because Tessa's birthday party was more important. Avery, we've apologized for that, my mother said. No, you haven't. You explained it. You didn't apologize. Well, we're sorry. Okay, is that what you need to hear? What I needed was for you to show up. My father sighed. Look, we can't change the past. But we're here now. And family takes care of family. You're right, I said. Family does take care of family. I reached into my bag, pulled out 3 envelopes, slid them across the table. Elias left something for you. Their faces lit up. My mother actually smiled. They opened the envelopes. I watched. Watched my mother's smile freeze. Watched my father's jaw tighten. Watched Tessa's hands start to shake. Is this a joke? Tessa whispered. No, I said. That's exactly what he felt you earned. The checks were small. Painfully small. Enough to be insulting. Enough to make the point. My mother looked up, her face pale. Avery, this can't be all. It is. But the estate is worth millions. Yes. And you're keeping it all? Yes. Tessa's voice rose. That's not fair. We're your family. You didn't act like it. My father tried a different approach. Avery, be reasonable. We made a mistake. One mistake. Are you really going to punish us forever? It wasn't one mistake. It was years of them. And I'm not punishing you. I'm just not rewarding you. This is cruel, my mother said. No. Cruel was telling me you couldn't cancel a birthday party for my husband's funeral. This is just honest. I stood up. They stared at me, stunned, holding their checks like evidence. If you want to rebuild a relationship, I said, we can talk. But it won't involve money. It'll involve effort. And respect. And showing up. I walked out. They didn't follow. They tried, for a while, to change my mind. My mother called, crying. Said I was tearing the family apart. Said Elias would be ashamed of me. I hung up. My father sent emails. Long, rambling ones. Talking about everything he'd done for me growing up. How he'd sacrificed. How I owed them. I didn't respond. Tessa posted on social media. Vague, passive-aggressive statements about betrayal and family and people who forget where they come from. I blocked her. After a month, the calls stopped. The emails dwindled. The posts disappeared. They moved on. Found other things to focus on. Other people to lean on. I felt nothing about it. No guilt. No relief. Just nothing. Lena noticed. You okay? Yeah. You sure? I'm sure. She studied me. You don't seem upset. I'm not. That's healthy, right? I smiled. I think so. Work became my focus again. I threw myself into it the way I always had, fully, completely, without reservation. I led missions. Mentored junior officers. Took on additional duties. My commander pulled me aside one day. Holt, you're doing great work. But make sure you're taking care of yourself too. I am, sir. He didn't look convinced. Grief doesn't have a timeline. I know. Do you? I met his eyes. Sir, with respect, I'm not avoiding grief. I'm just not drowning in it. He nodded slowly. Fair enough. But my door's open if you need it. Thank you, sir. I meant it. But I didn't need it. What I needed was structure. Purpose. Mission. The Air Force gave me that. I started running again. 0500 every morning, before the sun came up. Long, punishing runs that cleared my head and exhausted my body. I started writing. Not letters, Elias wasn't there to read them. Just thoughts. Reflections. Processing on paper what I couldn't say out loud. I started donating. Quietly. Anonymously. Scholarships for military kids. Grants for Gold Star families. Funding for veteran programs. Elias's money became a tool. A way to honor what he'd believed in. What we'd both believed in. I didn't advertise it. Didn't post about it. Just did it. Lena found out anyway. You're funding the new scholarship program? Who told you that? Nobody. I figured it out. I shrugged. It seemed right. She smiled. He'd be proud of you. I hope so. He would be. You know that, right? I nodded. Yeah, I do. My family kept their distance. We existed in parallel universes, aware of each other, but not intersecting. They sent a Christmas card. Generic, impersonal. No note. I sent one back. Same tone. We'd reached an equilibrium. Not reconciliation. Not estrangement. Just distance. I was fine with it. Better than fine. I didn't need them to validate my grief. Didn't need them to understand my choices. Didn't need them at all. I had my unit. My friends. My mission. I had Elias's memory, which was worth more than their presence ever had been. One evening, I sat in the living room, looking through old photos. Elias in uniform. Elias laughing. Elias asleep on the couch after a long day. I didn't cry. Just looked. Remembered. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Captain Holt, this is Sergeant Briggs. I served with your husband. Just wanted to say thank you for the scholarship. My daughter's going to college because of it. Captain Ward was a good man. You're honoring him right. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back, thank you. That means everything. I set the phone down. Looked at Elias's photo. I'm trying, I said quietly. I'm trying to do this right. The house was silent. But it didn't feel empty anymore. It felt full. Of memory. Of purpose. Of the life we'd built and the legacy I was continuing. I didn't need my family's approval. Didn't need their forgiveness. Didn't need anything from them. I needed to keep going. Keep leading. Keep honoring what mattered. And I would. Every single day. 6 months after Elias died, my mother called again. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello, Avery. Hi. Her voice was different. Quieter. Less performative. Hi, Mom. A pause. How are you? I'm fine. Good. That's good. Another pause. Listen, I know things have been difficult between us. I waited. And I know we didn't handle things well. After Elias died, we should have been there. I should have been there. I said nothing. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Or money. I wanted you to know that I see it now. How we treated you. How we've always treated you. What changed? I asked. Your father and I went to counseling. The therapist asked us to talk about you. About our relationship with you. And I realized we don't have one. Not really. We have the idea of you. But we don't know you. It was the most honest thing she'd ever said to me. No, I agreed. You don't. Can we change that? I don't know. Can we try? I thought about it. Thought about Elias. About what he'd want. Not for them. For me. Maybe I said. But it'll take time. And effort. Real effort. I understand. And it doesn't involve money. Or expectations. Or me fixing things for Tessa. I understand. Do you? I'm trying to. I exhaled. Okay, we can try. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. I'm not promising anything. I know. We talked for 10 more minutes. Surface level things. Safe things. But it was a start. When I hung up, I felt something. Not hope exactly, but possibility. Lena came over that night. I told her about the call. How do you feel? She asked. Cautious. That's fair. You think I'm making a mistake? She shook her head. I think you're doing what feels right. That's all you can do. Over the next months, my mother called regularly. Not often, just enough to show consistency. We had coffee once. Then dinner. Then a walk. She didn't push. Didn't ask about the money. Didn't try to force closeness. She just showed up. My father joined eventually. Awkward at first. But trying. Tessa stayed away. I didn't reach out. Neither did she. That was fine. I didn't need all of them. I just needed the ones willing to put in the work. My career continued. I made major ahead of schedule. 4 at 32. My unit celebrated. My commander wrote a glowing review. I kept flying. Kept leading. Kept building the life Elias and I had started. I dated, eventually. Not seriously. Just dinners. Conversations. Testing the waters. Nobody measured up to Elias. Maybe nobody ever would. But I was open to it. Open to life. Open to possibility. I stayed in the Air Force. Considered making it a career. 20 years. Maybe more. Elias's money sat in accounts, working quietly. Funding scholarships. Supporting families. Building legacy. I lived simply. Base housing. Modest car. Normal life. People who knew me had no idea I was wealthy. I liked it that way. I was Captain Avery Holt. Officer. Leader. Widow. Survivor. Not victim. Not heiress. Just me. 1 year after Elias died, I visited his grave. Brought flowers. Sat in the grass. I'm doing okay, I said quietly. I think you'd be proud. I'm trying to be the person you saw in me. The wind moved through the trees. Somewhere, a bird called. I miss you. Every day. But I'm not stuck. I'm moving forward. Like you'd want. I stayed until the sun started to set. Then I stood, brushed off my uniform, and walked back to my car. Life continued. Missions. Friendships. Small victories. My mother and I built something fragile but real. Not perfect. But honest. My father tried. It was enough. Tessa and I remain strangers. Maybe one day that would change. Maybe not. I stopped needing closure from people who couldn't give it. I stopped waiting for apologies that would never come. I stopped living in the gap between expectation and reality. I just lived. Fully. Purposefully. On my own terms. Elias had given me that. Not the money, though that helped. He'd given me permission to value myself the way he'd valued me. To set boundaries. To demand respect. To walk away from people who diminished me. To build a life that mattered. And I had. I was building it still. Every single day. 2 years after Elias died, I got promoted to lieutenant colonel. Oh, 5. The ceremony was formal, precise, military in all the ways that mattered. My unit attended. My friends. My commander, now a full colonel, pinned on my new rank. My mother sat in the audience. My father beside her. They clapped when everyone else did. After, my mother hugged me. I'm proud of you. I believed her. Not because she'd earned the right to say it, but because I'd earned the right to accept it. We had dinner that night. Small group. Lena. A few officers from my squadron. My parents. Conversation flowed easily. Work stories. Jokes. Normal things. My father asked about my next assignment. I told him I'd been selected for command. My own squadron. He nodded. That's impressive. Thank you. It wasn't effusive. Wasn't dramatic. But it was real. We were building something. Slowly. Carefully. Without expectations. I'd learned that relationships aren't about grand gestures. They're about showing up. Consistently. Honestly. My parents were showing up now. Late. But present. I accepted it for what it was. Tessa sent a card when she found out about my promotion. No note. Just her name. I didn't respond. But I kept the card. Maybe one day we'd talk. Maybe not. I wasn't waiting for it. Life moved forward. New assignments. New challenges. New people. I dated someone seriously. An army officer, a major. Not infantry logistics. Different world, but similar understanding. His name was Marcus. He'd lost his first wife to cancer. We understood each other's grief without explanation. We took it slow. No rush. No pressure. He met my parents after 6 months. They were polite. Careful. He met Lena after 2 weeks. She approved. He's good for you, she said. You think? Yeah. He doesn't try to replace Elias. He just exists next to the memory. That's important. She was right. Marcus and I built something different from what Elias and I had. Not better. Not worse. Just different. We got engaged after a year. Small ring. Simple proposal. No drama. My mother cried when I told her. Happy tears. I'm so glad you're not alone anymore, she said. I was never alone, I corrected gently. But I'm glad too. We married at the base chapel. Small ceremony. Military guests. My parents. Marcus's family. Tessa didn't come. I'd invited her. She declined. No explanation. I felt nothing about it. No anger. No sadness. Just acceptance. You can't force people to be part of your life. You can only build with the people who choose to show up. Marcus and I bought a house off base. Used some of Elias's money for the down payment. It felt right. Like honoring his memory by building a new life. I kept flying. Kept leading. Made full colonel at 40. Oh, 6. Marcus made lieutenant colonel around the same time. We navigated dual military careers the way Elias and I had, with planning, communication, and mutual respect. We deployed separately. Came home. Deployed again. We built a life that worked for us. My mother became a regular presence. Not overwhelming. Just steady. She learned boundaries. Learned to ask instead of demand. Learned to listen instead of lecture. My father mellowed. Became someone I could talk to without defensiveness. We'd never be close the way some families are. But we were functional. Respectful. That was enough. I thought about Elias often. Not with grief anymore. With gratitude. He'd given me so much. Not just money. Not just love. He'd given me the courage to value myself. To walk away from people who diminished me. To build a life on my own terms. I kept his photos on the mantle. Kept his letters in a box. Kept his memory alive in the scholarships and programs I funded. Marcus never felt threatened by it. He'd loved and lost too. He understood. One evening, years after Elias died, I sat on the porch with Marcus. Watched the sunset. You ever regret it? He asked. Regret what? Cutting off your family. For a while. I thought about it. No. I needed to. They needed to see consequences. And now? Now we have something different. Smaller. But real. He nodded. Took my hand. Elias would approve, he said. You think? Yeah. He wanted you to be okay. You're more than okay. He was right. I'd built a life I was proud of. A career. Relationships. Purpose. I'd learned that family isn't just blood. It's the people who show up. The people who see you. The people who stay. I had that. In my unit. In my friends. In Marcus. And I had it, to a lesser degree, in my parents. Not perfect. But enough. Tessa remained a stranger. We crossed paths occasionally. Nodded. Moved on. I didn't hate her. Didn't resent her. Just accepted that we'd never be close. Some relationships aren't meant to be fixed. They're meant to be released. I released her. Released the anger. Released the disappointment. I kept the lessons. People show you who they are. Believe them. Boundaries aren't cruel. They're necessary. You don't owe anyone access to your life. You only owe yourself honesty. I lived by those principles. Built my life around them. And I was happy. Not perfectly. Not constantly. But genuinely. I'd survived loss. Betrayal. Grief. I'd come out stronger. Clearer. More certain of who I was. I was Lieutenant Colonel Avery Holt. Officer. Leader. Wife. Widow. Survivor. And I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Living fully. Leading well. Loving honestly. Honoring the past. Building the future. One day at a time. 10 years after Elias died, I pinned on my first star. Brigadier General. 07. The ceremony was larger than any promotion before it, formal, public, attended by senior leadership from across the Air Force. My path had taken me through Squadron Command, Wing Command, staff positions at the Pentagon. I'd deployed 4 more times. Led thousands of airmen. Made decisions that affected operations across multiple theaters. The general pinning on my star was someone I'd worked with years ago, back when I was a captain and she was a colonel. She smiled as she fastened the silver star to my shoulder board. Congratulations, General Holt. Well earned. Thank you, ma'am. Marcus stood beside me in his own uniform, full colonel now, close to retirement. He'd supported every move, every deployment, every late night and early morning. We'd built something that lasted. Not perfect, but resilient. My mother sat in the front row, crying quietly. My father beside her, looking older than I remembered, but present. They'd become regulars at my promotions over the years, showing up without being asked, asking questions without demanding answers. We'd rebuilt something. Not the relationship I'd wanted as a child, but the one we were capable of as adults. Honest. Bounded. Respectful. Tessa wasn't there. She'd married, divorced, remarried. Had kids. Lived 3 states away. We exchanged Christmas cards. Nothing more. I'd stopped expecting anything else. After the ceremony, there was a reception. Handshakes. Congratulations. Officers I'd mentored, now majors and lieutenant colonels themselves, telling stories about lessons I'd taught them. Lena was there, now a lieutenant colonel herself, stationed at the Pentagon. She hugged me hard. General Holt. Has a nice ring to it. Feels surreal. You've earned it. Every bit of it. I believed her. That evening, Marcus and I went home to the house we'd lived in for 8 years. Modest for a general officer, but it was ours. We'd made it a home, photos on the walls, books on the shelves, a life contained in ordinary rooms. I'd changed out of my uniform, carefully hanging the blouse with its new star. Looked at it for a moment. Thought about the journey that had brought me here. Elias's photo still sat on the mantel. Older now, frozen in time while I'd aged around the memory. I picked it up, ran my thumb across the glass. Made General, I said quietly. You'd probably make some joke about me outranking you. Marcus appeared in the doorway, 2 glasses of wine in hand. He didn't interrupt. Just waited. I set the photo down. Took the glass he offered. You okay? He asked. Yeah, just thinking. About? Everything. How far I've come. How much has changed. He nodded. You've built something remarkable, Avery. The career. The legacy. All of it. We've built it, I corrected. I couldn't have done this without you. You could have. But I'm glad you didn't have to. We sat on the couch, the way we did most evenings. Quiet. Comfortable. The kind of peace that comes from years of showing up for each other. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. General Holt, this is Captain Sarachin. I received the Ward Scholarship for my master's degree. I just wanted to thank you. Your husband's legacy changed my life. I'm about to take command of my first squadron, and I wouldn't be here without that support. Thank you for honoring his memory this way. I showed Marcus the message. He smiled. How many is that now? Scholarships? Over 300. Maybe more. I stopped counting. That's incredible. It's what the money was for. He'd want it used this way. Over the years, Elias's estate had grown. Smart investments, managed carefully, had turned 50 million into considerably more. I'd lived modestly, taken my military salary, and poured the rest into programs that mattered. Scholarships for military children. Grants for Gold Star families. Funding for veteran mental health programs. Housing assistance for junior enlisted families. Education programs for transitioning service members. I'd built an entire foundation, run by professionals, operating quietly without my name attached. The Ward Foundation. Elias's legacy, living and growing. I'd never publicized it. Never sought recognition. Just funded it, guided it, and let it work. Hundreds of families had been helped. Thousands of lives touched. All because Elias had saved, invested, and planned for a future he'd never see. I typed back to Captain Chen, "Congratulations on your command. Make him proud. Make yourself proud. That's all that matters." The next morning, I reported to my new assignment. Commander of a numbered Air Force, thousands of personnel, critical missions, real responsibility. The kind of job that consumed you if you let it. I didn't let it. I'd learned balance over the years. Learned that leadership wasn't about working yourself to death. It was about working smart, delegating well, and trusting your people. My first staff meeting set the tone. 20 senior officers, all watching the new general, trying to assess what kind of leader I'd be. I kept it simple. I expect 3 things. Competence. Integrity. Care for your people. If you bring those, we'll do great work together. If you don't, we'll have problems. Questions. No questions. We got to work. The months blurred together the way they always did at this level. Operational decisions. Strategic planning. Meetings with combatant commanders. Briefings for Congress. Travel to bases across the theater. I was good at it. I'd spent 25 years preparing for roles like this. I knew how to lead. How to balance competing priorities. How to make hard calls. But I also knew how to go home at the end of the day. How to leave the work at work. How to be present for Marcus, for my friends, for the life I'd built outside the uniform. That balance had taken years to learn. Early in my career, I'd let the job consume everything. After Elias died, I'd buried myself in work to avoid grief. But I'd learned, slowly, painfully, that you can't sustain that pace forever. That leadership requires presence, not just performance. My parents visited once, briefly. My mother seemed smaller somehow, worn down by age. My father moved slower, spoke less. We had dinner. Talked about safe things. My new job. Their retirement. Grandchildren from Tessa I'd never met. My mother asked, carefully, "Do you ever think about having children?" "You and Marcus." We talked about it. Decided against it. Oh. She looked disappointed but didn't push. "That's your choice, of course." "It is." We'd made peace with that decision years ago. Our careers. Our deployments. Our ages. It didn't make sense for us. We were okay with it. My father changed the subject. "Your grandmother would be proud. Seeing you make general." "You think." "I know. She always said you'd do something significant." I'd forgotten that. My grandmother had died when I was at the academy. She'd been the only one in my family who'd really understood why I'd chosen military service. Who'd supported it without qualification. "I wish she could have seen it," I said. "Maybe she did," my father said quietly. It was the most sentimental thing he'd said to me in years. After they left, Marcus found me in the study, looking through old photos. "You okay?" "Yeah. Just remembering." He sat down beside me. "They're trying. Your parents." "I know. Is it enough?" I thought about it. "It's something. More than I had 10 years ago. I'll take it." He kissed my temple. "You're generous." "I'm practical. I can't change the past. I can only decide what I do with now." "And what do you want to do with now?" "Keep building. Keep leading. Keep making it matter." "Then that's what we'll do." 6 months into my new command, I got a call from Tessa. The first in years. I almost didn't answer. But curiosity won. Hello, Avery. Hi, it's Tessa. I know. A pause. How are you? I'm fine. You? Good. Good. Listen, I know we haven't talked much. Or at all, really. But I wanted to reach out. I waited. Mom told me you made general. That's really impressive. Congratulations. Thank you. Another pause. I also heard about the foundation. The scholarships. What you've been doing with Elias's money. My guard went up. What about it? I wanted to say I think that's really great. What you're doing. Helping people. I said nothing. I know things between us are complicated. And that's mostly my fault. I was selfish. For a long time. I didn't see what you were dealing with. What you'd sacrificed. Okay. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. And I'm sorry. For all of it. For not coming to Elias's funeral. For making everything about me. For not being a sister to you. I exhaled slowly. Why no? My daughter asked about you. Saw a photo at Mom and Dad's house. Asked who the lady in the uniform was. And I realized. I don't know you. And that's my fault. I pushed you away. I let Mom and Dad push you away. And I'm sorry. It was the most honest thing she'd ever said to me. I appreciate that, I said carefully. Is there any chance we could? I don't know. Start over? Not forget everything. But maybe build something new. I thought about it. Thought about Elias. About forgiveness. About what I wanted my life to look like. Maybe I said. But it would take time. And real effort. Not just one phone call. I understand. Do you? I'm trying to. Then we can try. No promises. No expectations. Just see what happens. Thank you, Avery. Really. Don't thank me yet. I'm not promising anything. I know. But thank you for giving me a chance. We talked for a few more minutes. Surface level things. Her kids. Her life. My job in vague terms. When I hung up, I felt something. Not hope exactly. But possibility. Marcus had overheard. That was unexpected. Yeah. How do you feel? Cautious. But open. That's all you can be. Over the next year, Tessa and I exchanged emails. Photos of her kids. Updates about my career, carefully scrubbed of classified information. Holiday cards with actual notes inside. She visited once, briefly, with her family. I met her children, 2 girls, 7 and 9. Polite, curious, full of questions about planes and the military. I answered patiently. Showed them photos. Told age-appropriate stories. Tessa watched, something unreadable in her expression. Later, after her family went to bed in the guest room, we sat on the porch with wine. You're good with them, she said. They're good kids. They are. I got lucky. She paused. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. When Elias died. When you needed family. I know. Do you forgive me? I thought about it. Really thought about it. I don't know yet. But I'm trying. That's fair. It's not about holding a grudge. It's about protecting myself. I learned the hard way that I can't force people to be who I need them to be. I know. And I'm not asking you to trust me. Just, let me try to be better. I can do that. We sat in silence, listening to the night sounds. Not comfortable. But not hostile either. Just real. 2 years into my time as a general officer, I gave a speech at the Air Force Academy. Graduation. I'd been chosen as the commencement speaker, a full-circle moment that wasn't lost on me. I stood at the podium, looking out at hundreds of new second lieutenants, fresh-faced and eager, about to start the same journey I'd taken decades ago. I'd written and rewritten the speech a dozen times. Finally settled on something honest. 27 years ago, I sat where you're sitting. I had a lot of ideas about what my career would look like. Most of them were wrong. Laughter rippled through the crowd. I thought success meant promotions, rankings, achievements, and those things matter. But they're not what makes a career meaningful. I paused, looked at the faces watching me. What makes it meaningful is the people you serve with, the lives you impact, the example you set, the legacy you build. I talked about Elias, not in detail, just enough to make the point. I lost my husband in combat years ago. He was Army infantry, one of the best leaders I ever knew. When he died, I learned something important. Your career will cost you. It'll cost time, relationships, certainty, comfort. And you have to decide if what you're building is worth what you're paying. The audience was silent now. For me, it was worth it. Because I wasn't just building a career. I was building a life of service, of purpose, of contribution. And that meant something. I wrapped up with encouragement, advice, the usual platitudes. But the part about cost, that was real. That mattered. Afterward, several cadets approached me, thanked me, said the speech resonated. One young woman, about to commission, asked, "General, how did you keep going after you lost him?" I looked at her, saw myself at that age, full of questions, uncertain, hopeful. I kept going because stopping wasn't an option, because he would have wanted me to keep going, and because I still had work to do. Purpose doesn't end when life gets hard. It just gets more important. She nodded. "Thank you, ma'am. Good luck, Lieutenant. You're going to do great things." I believed it. I believed all of them would. Some would stay for a career. Some would serve their commitment and move on. All of them would be shaped by what they learned here. Just like I had been. Marcus retired that year. Full colonel, 30 years of service, honorable discharge. We celebrated quietly, just close friends, family, people who mattered. He seemed lighter after. Unburdened. Ready for the next chapter. Any regrets? I asked him one night. About retiring? About all of it. He thought about it. No. I did what I set out to do. Served well. Made a difference. Now it's time for something else. What's something else look like? I don't know yet. Maybe consulting. Maybe teaching. Maybe just being home when you come home. I smiled. I'd like that. Me too. I still had years left before retirement. The Air Force had invested in me. I owed them my best until I decided to hang it up. But knowing Marcus would be there, steady and present, made the rest of the journey easier. My mother's health declined slowly. Nothing catastrophic. Just age accumulating. She moved into assisted living. My father followed. I visited when I could. Called regularly. Helped with logistics and decisions. We'd never be close the way some mothers and daughters are. But we had something. Respect. Honesty. Care. One visit, she asked, "Are you happy, Avery?" "Yes, Mom. I am." "Really?" "Really." She smiled. "Good. I worried about you. For a long time. Worried you'd spend your whole life angry at us." I was angry. For a while. But I'm not anymore. What changed? I learned that holding on to anger costs more than letting it go. And I decided I didn't want to pay that price. She reached for my hand. "You're stronger than I ever was. I learned from you. The good and the bad. That's all kids can do. I'm proud of you. I know I don't say it enough. But I am." "I know, Mom. Thank you." It wasn't a fairy tale reconciliation. We didn't erase the past. But we acknowledged it. And moved forward anyway. That was enough. 10 years after Elias died, I stood at his grave again. Alone this time. Marcus had offered to come, but I'd wanted to do this solo. The headstone was weathered slightly. Clean, well-maintained by the cemetery staff, but marked by time. I knelt down. Traced his name with my finger. "Hey, it's been a while since I visited. I'm sorry about that. Work's been busy. But I think about you every day. Still." The wind rustled through the trees. I made General. Can you believe it? General Holt. You'd probably salute me ironically. I smiled at the thought. Marcus is good. Retired now. We're still solid. Still building. He's not you. But he's good for me. I think you'd approve. I sat back on my heels. The foundation's doing well. Hundreds of scholarships. Thousands of people helped. Your money's making a real difference. I hope you're proud of that. I paused. I hope you're proud of me. For everything. For surviving. For thriving. For not letting what happened destroy me. The cemetery was quiet. Just birds and wind and distant traffic. I miss you. I'll always miss you. But I'm okay. Better than okay. I built something. We built something. And I'm still building. I stood up. Brushed off my uniform. I'll come back sooner next time. I promise. I walked back to my car. Drove back to my life. That night, Marcus and I sat on the porch, watching the stars. You okay? He asked. Yeah, I really am. Good visit. Yeah, peaceful. He took my hand. We sat in comfortable silence. I thought about the last 10 years. Everything I'd survived. Everything I'd built. The career. The relationships. The legacy. I thought about the girl I'd been, desperate for family approval, willing to sacrifice everything for scraps of recognition. I thought about the woman I'd become, confident, bounded, clear about what mattered. The journey between those two people had been painful, but necessary. I'd learned that family is an obligation. It's choice. And you get to choose who earns access to your life. I'd learned that grief doesn't destroy you unless you let it. That you can honor the dead by living fully. I'd learned that success isn't about titles or ranks or money. It's about impact, purpose, legacy. I'd learned that forgiveness isn't weakness. It's strength. And it's something you do for yourself, not for others. I'd learned that love comes in different forms. First love. Second love. Chosen family. All of it matters. All of it counts. I'd learned that you don't need everyone's approval. Just your own. And the people who truly see you. 10 years after Elias died, I was exactly where I needed to be. Leading well. Loving honestly. Living fully. Building a legacy that mattered. Honoring the past. Embracing the present. Ready for whatever came next. People show you who they are. I'd learned to believe them. And I'd learned to show them who I was. Without apology. Without compromise. Brigadier General Avery Holt. Officer. Leader. Widow. Wife. Survivor. Still standing. Still serving. Still building. One day at a time. Every single day. And that's where I'll leave it. Walking away from them wasn't revenge, it was clarity. The kind you earn the hard way. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to cut off family after a betrayal? Have you ever realized someone only valued you when they needed something? And if you were in my place, would you have given them the check or nothing at all? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this story hit home, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs the reminder. Your loyalty is valuable. Don't hand it to people who treat it like spare change.